Shauri Youth Empowerment Program is happy to host Ms. Njambi this afternoon. We are indeed happy and privileged that you honored our invite. Ms. Elizabeth Njambi is a founder and Chief Executive Officer of Wakili.sha Initiative. Now, I'm not going to talk much about it because she's here herself.
Yeah.
So she'll tell us about what Wakili.sha Initiative does. So let's go straight to it. Let me just first ask her to just introduce herself.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Introduce yourself.
Hi everyone. Everyone who's either Shauri follower, Wakili.sha follower, or you've heard of us from one way or another. Welcome to this IG Live. Thank you so much to Shauri for having me and for this month's theme on child protection, which is, I think, very apt, very important. So my name, as you've heard, is Elizabeth Njambi. I'm the founder and CEO of Wakili.sha Initiative. That's Wakili.sha Initiative. We are an initiative aimed at promoting access to justice for children in conflict with the law. So these are children that have been accused of committing crime. They are facing charges in court, most of the ones that we work with, or they're just about to be arraigned in court, depending on where their case is at by the time we come in. So that's what Wakili.sha does in a nutshell. Our main pillars are three. The first one is legal representation. So we find advocates to represent them pro bono. That means that the children are not paying anything because most of them are actually from poor family backgrounds. So they can't even afford that legal representation that they need. You know, if you're going to face any charges in court, you're going to need legal representation. So that's our main arm, and that's our first arm. Our second arm is mentorship and talent development. Most of these children have either not been mentored through life or they've gone through very, very difficult situations. So we tend to show them, one, that, you know, we love and we care for you. That one small aspect, many of them have been able to experience it in their lives. And then that there's other ways to life. You know, how do you make decisions? If you're angered by someone, do you lash out at them? Do you beat them? Or do you know, how is that process? And everything we take them through is to aid reintegration back into society, especially for those who are going to be committed at a rehabilitation facility. And then also is to reduce recidivism. It's a very
What's that?
It's a tongue twister.
Yeah. You said recidivism?
Recidivism. So recidivism, you know, I had to take my time
Yeah,
over the years to say it over and over again. So recidivism is the aspect of committing crime over and over again. So you commit crime, you serve your punishment, you go back into society, and you commit another crime, and you're back. So that whole aspect of constantly, you know, offending the law. But once you instill proper values, proper skills, show love, you know, rehabilitate the person, then you also reduce the rate of recidivism, which is what we do with our second arm. Now, the last arm is public awareness and advocacy. I get a lot of people asking me, you know, what are you talking about? Children in conflict with the law, what does that mean? And we do know that there are children in conflict with the law, but it tends to escape our minds as people who actually exist in society, you know. So that's why we have the public awareness and advocacy arm, and the purpose of that arm is just, one, to tell people that yes, there are these children that exist. Two, these are their rights. Three, are their rights being met? And if they're not, which rights are not being met? And what can I do, you know, as a person, as Beatrice, where would you come in and how would you be able to, you know, make a difference in society as far as that is concerned? So that's Wakili.sha. That's what we do, yeah.
How do you reach out, therefore, to the public? How do they get to know about activities? Assuming I'm a parent, or
Yeah.
I'm somebody who knows a child who's in conflict with the law, or somebody who needs one of your services.
Yeah.
So how do I get to you? Because I'm sure there are followers who probably are hearing about you today.
Yeah.
So how do you reach out to the public?
So the first thing is we have our website, that is Wakili.sha.org, www.wakili.sha, as you would say it, WAKILISHA.org. And then we also have social media platforms. So on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, we are Wakili.sha, and on Twitter, we are Wakili_sha. Yes, so that's the first, I think that would be the first way online that one would hear of us. But now we do get referrals, so you've now heard about Wakili.sha and you go home and you hear, you know, there's this and that case, and I'd get someone calling me, introducing us to a specific parent who wants help. But if you go to our website, we have a resource hub, so you'd be able to learn what laws are applicable to children in conflict to the law, and a lot of other things. You know, for instance, what does it mean for girls that are in the system? You know, what have they gone through? So that's how we mainly do our public awareness, is through our website and our social media platforms.
How do you define a child? Who is a child,
Well,
according to you?
I'll say according to the law.
According to you as Wakili.sha.
As Wakili.sha. Okay, great. So I'm a lawyer, and we are very keen about how we answer this question.
Yes, I know.
A child is anyone below the age of 18 years. So as long as you've not attained the age of 18, then you qualify as a child. And that's also the standard that is implemented by the courts and is implemented by Wakili.sha as well. So if you have not turned 18 and you're facing charges in court, then you would fall under Wakili.sha's mandate.
All right. So that means you basically cover, you know, or your services will cover children both in primary school and secondary school.
Oh yes, yeah. As long as they've not attained 18, because you have children in primary who, you know, well, then they wouldn't be children.
Yes. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
What does the law of the land, the law of Kenya, say about, you know, the rights and the protection of children?
Yeah.
I mean, in your understanding, just to enlighten our viewers.
Okay. Again, as a lawyer, I'm playing around with that open-ended question, and lawyers who are listening to me will understand. But I'm going to summarize. I think the best place to start would be the Constitution, because the Constitution is the main law of the land, and that's where everything then stems from. So if we look at the Constitution, I'm sure we've all had the Bill of Rights. Yeah, that's chapter 4 of our Constitution of Kenya, which provides for the rights that any citizen or anyone in Kenya is entitled to. And the Constitution has actually specifically laid out an entire article dedicated to the rights of children. Yeah. So first, just in a nutshell, everyone should be protected from discrimination, should be treated with dignity, protected from torture and such like things. But now the drafters of the Constitution actually, as I've said, put apart an article specifically catered to children. That's Article 53 of the Constitution. And it lists a number of rights that children have. You know, right to a name, etc., etc. And it also lists that children have the right to be protected from abuse, from neglect, from, you know, harmful cultural practices, etc., etc. So that would be the first place to start. Actually, did you know that it's a crime for a parent to neglect their child?
Yes, I now know that because of what we're doing with our organization right now. But I didn't know that before that. And many Kenyans, I'm sure, do not know that.
Yeah, I'm sure many Kenyans don't know that. It stems from the Constitution. So you have, a child has a right to not be neglected. So if you have a parent who's, you know, not feeding their child or leaving them unattended,
or not taking them to school,
or not taking, or even in certain instances not ensuring that they have the best health, you know, offered to the child, and not out of lack, but out of mere neglect. So that's a crime, and that's one of the ways that the law has provided. And then from that then stems other statutory laws like the Children's Act, and, you know, a number of laws that in one way or another would touch on children, like the Sexual Offences Act. Yeah, so it's a lot, but in summary, I think I'm going to, you know, say that the Constitution and the Children's Act would be the best place for anyone to start.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because recently we've had many cases of children either being abused or, you know, just not getting the protection that they require in line with what the law says. And so that has been a major issue, and I think it's being attributed to the pandemic, the fact that children have been at home, and so they are an easy, easy target for people who just want to do the wrong thing in society. And so that's why for us, even as Mshauri Youth Empowerment Program, we find that this subject is important, and that's why this month, one of the things that we set out to do with our volunteers and our staff is to just make sure that everyone is aware of what is expected of us as volunteers, as we interact with the children that we interact with in our mentorship programs. And I think that's where we also connect with you, because as you said, one of the things that you're doing is mentorship.
Yeah.
Of course, for us, mentorship is one of the major things we do through the resource centers that we set up in the resourced areas in the country. And so we definitely, occasionally, or many times, look for you to get advice about issues concerning children and what the law says about them. And in the event that we come across children who are abused, then at least we know where we can go, where we can turn to, for advice or for which way to go.
Yeah.
Okay. As far as your organization is concerned, and I think this is something that I've said, I just want to hear it from you, is child protection a major concern in Kenya right now?
Yes, definitely. Just even from what you've just explained, we've seen a lot of abuse taking place in the past few months. But it's not just a concern that has arisen now. Child protection has been, when you think about children, I like this phrase that says, they're our tomorrow. And I think there are things that we just throw around and we don't think about them later. But if we don't protect our children now, then what happens to them tomorrow? Yeah? What kind of person are we building for the future? So child protection has been and should have been a priority, years and years ago. It's something that, because we'll always have children in society. But as you've said, we've seen a growing concern where we've not really been taking care of our children, we've not been nurturing them, we've not been protecting them, and now more than ever, child protection has to be a priority. Because when we talk of children in conflict with the law, they are children that have been accused of committing crime. So whatever crime it is that the child has committed, then those are cases that we handle. However, there's a lot of things to consider before you take up a case. So for instance, we also like consulting advocates that sign up with us and see, for instance, are there areas where they are more experienced and what kind of cases would they prefer to take up based on their experience or the time that is available to them. So those are factors. But in terms of just, the nutshell as you've explained it, so those are some of the cases that we handle. And so I just said this, it's very interesting because there are people who ask me, so are you saying that you want criminals to just go free? Yeah? That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is, according to the Constitution, every person, free from, you have a right to not be discriminated against. You have the right to a fair hearing. And one of the things that it means, within the confines of the fair hearing is that you have the right to legal representation. Yeah? So we're not saying, okay, so we've come in at Wakili.sha, let this person go. No.
Yeah.
We're saying this person has the right to a fair hearing. So whether or not they're going to be committed to an institution, whether they are going to get probation, if they're going to, be sentenced to community service, and we don't like using the word sentencing, for things we could discuss at a later stage. But the point is not to let people go. The point is that due justice must be done, must be observed. So if you're getting to the point where the person is being committed, all through the process, justice has been observed at every stage. They have a lawyer. Even today, if I committed a crime, I'd get a lawyer, right? So why shouldn't that child be able to get the advocate? Yeah, they're innocent until proven guilty. And that's the essence of having the right to a fair hearing.